I want to do something that I don't normally do. So in my years of high school, uh, they would have semester systems, and that means that in one semester you would complete an entire course of curriculum. And so I had the luxury of doing that, especially when it came to Spanish. So you may not know, but I'm actually Mexican American somehow. Even throughout my pale skin, I still have the genetic makeup of a Mexican, but I spoke no Spanish, and that infuriated a lot of my dad's side family members because they wanted to speak to me in Espanol, and I was not accumulating it in my mind. So I decided straight off the bat to take Spanish. So I took Spanish 1 in the first semester, and then I was on the Spanish 2 in the second semester. And the one thing that seems to be a common theme among Spanish courses in general, especially in high school, is that you'll get these native Spanish speakers who speak the language absolutely fluently, no errors, even though the slang, but yet they purposely fail the course on I don't understand that. Usually they'll have the name like Hector or something. Just like Cheech and Chong said, Mexican Americans, they go to night school, they take Spanish and get a B. That apparently seems to be the case in real life too. They perform poorly on the tests, even though they speak the language, like actually. It doesn't make any sense, but that was certainly the case in my scenario as well. Doing well with my conjugations in Spanish too, and my teacher at the time was very nice. He even played the guitar, he even sang La Bamba to us on the last day of school. The grand event came. I believe it was like the fourth test in the semester, which meant that the semester was almost over, and I was trying to accumulate a 4.0 GPA so that I can go to Notre Dame. Ultimately, it's not the case because Notre Dame doesn't accept below average students. But nevertheless, I wanted to become an A student, and I needed an A on this test in order to keep an A in the class. And while I was taking the test, a native Spanish speaker right next to me, we were pretty good friends. He whispers to me onto my left. He says, "Bro, help me out here." Wait, no way, man. And he goes, "Yes way, man. Don't be like that." And obviously, I don't want to be like that. I want to be cool. So what I did was I conspicuously slid my paper across my desk with my face upward towards the ceiling, making it so noticeable that my Spanish teacher, who noticed usually doesn't even catch people cheating on tests anyway, somehow was able to catch me all the way across the classroom. He yelled, "Senor!" And I was shivering in my timbers. He aggressively walked towards my desk, and I was trembling, almost about to cry, in front of everybody. He stripped away the test from the native Spanish speaker on my right, and then he went for my test as well. I was like, "No way!" And so he went to go grab my test, but I held on to it for dear life, shivering, looking down at my feet, and then he was whispering, come on, senor, just give me the test." I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." And everyone in the class started laughing because I was like, it was pretty funny from the outside, but inward I was freaking out because this could be the end of me. And so I hung on for dear life, and I pled for mercy, "Please, please, don't do it, don't do it." But obviously, under my breath, I wasn't about to exclaim it out loud. So finally, after enough failed attempts to rip out the paper from my hands, he took me and the native Spanish speaker outside the classroom, and he talked. He's like, "Senora, you prepared for this test? Why in the world would you throw it all away just to help someone who didn't prepare for the test?" And I looked down and shook my head like, you're right, I'm sorry. And luckily, my teacher said that he graciously, mercifully said, "I will give you 75% of what you actually got in the test. I won't actually give you a zero, but this is the best I can do for you." And I humbly agreed because a zero would have been absolutely a travesty. I walked back inside, many people giggling to their partners, knowing that what I've just committed was totally a age under 14 action, something that only the weak would do in a scenario like that. But a meek and lowly type of action totally got me what I didn't deserve, which was grace on the test. It was grace and it was mercy, but it was not just. Because if it had been just, someone would have had to get a zero on my behalf. And that's just the case in life. We all broke God's law. Someone has to pay our fine. The wages of sin is death. But God so graciously sent his Son to take the whips, to take the bruises, to take the full wrath of God on our behalf that we may be forgiven. That he could showcase his mercy and forgiveness without losing his sense of justice. God has many attributes, all of them are holy, without blemish. He did that so that those whom he hath chosen before the foundation of the world would be holy and blameless before him in love. I predestining us to adoption as sons through Jesus Christ to himself, according to the riches of his grace. That's the big difference between what my teacher did by showing grace and mercy. No justice on his behalf, luckily so. Thank you for no justice. But that God, being just, also seeking to pour out his divine mercy and grace upon his creation with a penal substitutionary atonement. I know that's been getting a lot of flack lately on the X machine, but it is biblical. Just look at Isaiah 53. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. To God be the glory.